YouTube. I hope you guys are well. Raj here, back again with another fragrance review. It's what I do on this channel, so don't be surprised. This fragrance from the house of Ralph Lauren, and I've been working off a couple of samples of these 1.5 ml sprays. Actually, it's good to see that. This one is Polo Supreme Oud. There you go. So yeah, I've had a couple of samples, so I feel like I've tested this one quite well actually in terms of, you know, like performance and where you could wear this and the smell and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go into much more detail. So this fragrance kind of surprised me in many ways. First of all, Ralph Lauren, for me, I don't really associate them with doing this type of fragrance. There's also Supreme Leather, so maybe they're going off in a slightly more darker territory. Maybe. I think it's an interesting fragrance. It does smell like something that is on the slightly darker, more richer, smokier side. It is a little bit more daring, I would say. So yeah, it surprised me because I liked it and because I just don't associate Ralph Lauren with producing fragrances like this. So pricing, it's a little bit pricey. This comes at a bit of a cost. I think in the UK it's around £100. I have seen this discounted to around 84, 85. You'll have to look around, but they've bumped up the price with this one. It's got the name Oud in it, it's got the word Supreme in it, so you know, they feel like they can just put a bit of a crazy price on it. Where would I wear this fragrance? Season wise, I would actually wear this in cooler weather and colder weather, because that's pretty much the UK climate I've just described. So it kind of goes well in like those scenarios. We've had a lot of weather which was supposed to be warming up in the UK, but it was like cold and raining for quite a lot of the past few weeks, past few months, when it should be turning into warmer weather. And I wore this fragrance and I think it performed quite well in those scenarios. But there were a couple of times where it was really humid in the UK, and I just thought, let me just try this fragrance, because sometimes fragrances that can be on like the darker, richer, smokier side, actually in my experience can perform quite well in humid weather. So sometimes when I've gone to like India or a place like that, sometimes these fragrances do fine in like night times when it's starting to cool down, but it's still a little bit humid. So you know, you can test it and you can just wear a fragrance wherever. Some people don't even care about seasons. Where would I wear this in terms of occasions? Well, I tried this one out at work. I wasn't so sure. I felt a little bit self-conscious, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't really care too much about what other people think, but I don't want to really offend people at the same time. I felt like maybe this was just a little bit too much for work. It suited like a night out. Maybe you're wandering around during the day and then you're going to a bar in the evening, going to a club. I didn't test this in that scenario, but it seems a little bit too much when you're really warming up and sweating a lot. So I found occasions a little bit tricky. Yeah, in terms of performance, great longevity, really jumps off the skin on the opening few hours, settles down, but it's still very, very noticeable. I got like 10, 12, like pretty much the whole day, start to finish. So no complaints there. In terms of in terms of the notes, I completely forgot about mentioning that. So yeah, what's the note breakdown is cinnamon and pink pepper. There's also oud. There's also guaiac wood in vetiver. There might be more notes, but you know, I kind of feel like note breakdowns are kind of pointless sometimes. But yeah, anyway. So what do I get in the opening of this fragrance? This one really surprised me in the opening. Okay, so oud. You can look up what oud is. I'm not going to go into what it is, but all I can tell you is that it comes from different parts of the world, and each variety can smell really different. I am actually quite familiar with Indian oud and also Bangladeshi oud in its rawest, like purest form, like the oil form. And actually, it's that those countries. That's not my favorite type of oud. I actually don't like that. It's the one that's associated with being a little bit barnyardish, a little bit, you know, smoky. And I feel Ralph Lauren have actually captured the smell of Indian oud relatively well. I say relative because this is a designer house, and at the end of the day, there has to be this element of mass appeal. But that note, Indian oud, is pretty potent. Like, it's quite strong. I find it really off-putting, and it is kind of in this opening, kind of strange, really, because I'm not sure how many people are gonna like this. You know, I'm a little bit like unsure. So it smells like a little bit mentholated. It smells like a burning wood. It smells like incensey. It's quite challenging actually. I found this to be quite a daring fragrance, especially in the opening. You know, I've sprayed this on about 15-20 minutes ago, and it does start to settle down. It does turn into a kind of syrupy, woody sweetness, which actually I really like. I really like this fragrance when it starts to go into the mid of this fragrance. This oud note is starting to die away, and it is kind of like ashy and it's slightly incensey. And actually, there are times when I really like the fragrance, and there are times when I'm like, I'm not really sure how this sits on my skin. There is a kind of like a vanilla sweetness. There's something like, I don't know if this is just me, but 24 Gold, the fragrance from Scent Story, there's elements of that in here, I think, but I did think of that fragrance a couple of times, but I can't quite pinpoint why I think that. But yeah, I mean, it does have this kind of vanilla sweetness to it, sugary. The oud is smoky, slightly incensey, and I think it's actually overall a good blend. I think it's a good fragrance. It is quite on the challenging side. It is a little bit on the daring side. There are much more crazier fragrances out there, but I'm quite surprised to see Ralph Lauren actually come out with a fragrance like this. Would I buy this fragrance? I came to the conclusion that I probably wouldn't, because I don't really go for these types of... I mean, as I said, there are more daring fragrances out there, but this is just not really territory that I want to walk into nowadays with fragrances. But I would give it a good rating of 8 out of 10. I do admire what they've done. I don't think this is safe. I do think there is oud represented quite well in this fragrance. Is it supreme? You know, there are nicer oud fragrances out there which are sweeter, more thicker, more luxurious. But I think it's worth checking out this fragrance. If you get the chance to, definitely take a look. So guys, that's my review of this fragrance from Ralph Lauren, Supreme Oud. Over to you. Whatever you have to say, say it. You know the drill by now. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Have you maybe not tried it? Because I don't think this is like distributed everywhere in the world just yet, or whether it will be. But you know, let me know your thoughts. It's always great to hear other people's opinions, especially in this type of fragrance for me, where I'm like, well, I like it, but then there are parts which I think are a little bit too much. So do you feel the same way? Whatever you have to say, let me know, and hit the like button, subscribe, check out my Facebook page, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.